What's going on, everyone? This is Daryl from the Infamous Podcast. Once again, bringing you some midweek flavor on movies, TVs, and games. Hoping everyone had a wonderful and safe 4th of July weekend. While I did not set off any fireworks, I did watch some from my balcony. So, yes, my fingers and toes are all accounted for. Hope everyone else can say the same. So before we get into this week's selection of news, I was remiss last weekend when we were talking about trailers. There's one very big movie that I did not mention, and that is the Many Saints of Newark. This is pretty much an origin story of Tony Soprano. Funny enough, it's played the younger Tony Soprano is played by Michael Gandolfini, who is obviously the late James Gandolfini's son. This has an all-star cast, and if you look up on IMDb, the summary of it is pretty straightforward. A look at the formative years of New Jersey gangster Tony Soprano. I mean, you can't get any simpler than that. But this cast is strong. It has Vera Farmiga, Ray Liotta, Alessandro Nivola, he's playing Richard Dickey Moltisanti, who he looks like he's going to be a mentor to Tony Soprano. Leslie Odom Jr. is in it, as well as John Bernthal and Corey Stoll. Alan Taylor is the man behind the camera as the director, which I'm not sure how I feel about that from a movie sense. Alan Taylor is known for directing Thor: The Dark World, as well as Terminator Genisys, and those aren't what you would call strong movies in their respective franchises. With that said, he did direct 9 episodes of Sopranos, 2 episodes of Deadwood, and 7 episodes of Game of Thrones. Many of these were in the first couple seasons when Game of Thrones was almost universally praised as just an amazing show. I'm thinking that since he does have a track record with The Sopranos, that Thor: The Dark World and Terminator Genisys, those 2 hiccups might not factor into how good the movie is, because the trailer, again, it looks fantastic. And I'm saying this as a person who did not watch The Sopranos. I know, don't stone me or anything like that. I mean, one of these days I will take a look, see how it is, because I've only heard good things about it. So I did want to get that out of the way before we start talking about some of the good things going on this week and the rest of July. There was only one real trailer that caught my attention this week, and it wasn't a full-on trailer. It was the Kingsman, and it was titled The Kingsman's Legacy trailer. The reason for that, putting the word legacy in there, it was more of a retrospective of the series to date, with some new scenes thrown in, new clips thrown in of what we can expect from The Kingsman, which is slated for December 22nd release. Not much to say about that, except it was more along the lines of telling us, hey, remember, we're still around. I believe there was a trailer for The Kingsman a few weeks ago. It's been so long since I saw the first one last year. I don't know how much had changed. But I did want to get that out of the way, and as well as leading into what will be I think it's going to be a very big and important month for movies, because you have a lot of movies releasing not just through the week or not just through the month, but on the same day. So as you know, this you should be listening to this on Thursday. If you're listening to this on Thursday, it is Black Widow's Eve. Though to be fair, since there's no longer midnight showings and it's more like 6 p.m. showings, you could say it's Black Widow Day. Black Widow officially releases on Friday, July 9th on Disney Plus and theaters. Remember, the Disney Plus is a premium access, so if you want to shell over $30, which it's kind of a deal if you have a family, but if you're rolling solo or even duo like I will be this weekend, that $30 is kind of a no-no. The following week is, I can't wait for this one, Space Jam: A New Legacy. That's going to be in theaters and HBO Max. While competing with that will be Joe Bell. And this looks like one of those films that has that Oscar-type true story, pulling on the emotional heartstrings vibe. It was written by the writers of Brokeback Mountain. It stars Mark Wahlberg, and based on the true story of, I believe, the names in the title, Joe Bell. That's more of a drama. Again, that's more of a drama. Not quite my cup of tea as far as going to the theaters. It might be a movie that, when it comes to streaming, I might take a look at. But I usually save my, the hard-earned cash to go see movies in theaters on action flicks, big set-piece things. Every now and then, I'll take a matinee at something a little bit smaller. But on the week of, or the Friday, July 23rd, you have two big movies. Snake Eyes, Snake Eyes Origin, which starring Henry Golding as Snake Eyes. I talked about this we talked about this on the podcast a few weeks ago. I can't say that I'm super excited about it. I do like Henry Golding. I don't think they're going to do service to the character of Snake Eyes, so that's definitely something that kind of takes the wind out of my sails for that movie. M. Night Shyamalan's Old. Whoa, how did I say that name? M. Night Shyamalan's Old is also coming out on the 23rd. That one looks very interesting. If I have to choose between Snake Eyes and Old, I think I'm going with Old. Again, Snake Eyes. After the last two G.I. Joe movies, I don't know if I want to get hurt again. So, again, I'll go see it. I'll see it, but maybe not in theaters. The week of the 30th is the one big super CG movie, Jungle Cruise, starring The Rock and Emily Blunt. And again, it's a Disney movie, so it'll probably be on Disney Plus as well with Premiere Access. I'm not 100% sure about. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. But that's just how they've been doing it lately. I don't know if they are ready yet to just say, hey, this movie's going to be only on theaters. The movie that I'm really, really interested in is The Green Knight, which is, again, this is going to be released on the 30th as well, starring Dev Patel. And it's an Arthurian tale, which, again, I am a sucker for King Arthur movies. I love Guy Ritchie's King Arthur that came out in 2017. Wasn't the greatest movie, but there was just something about it. Guy Ritchie, whom I love. I just love his dialogue. I love, just how he sets up scenes and characters and conversations. And again, he used the King Arthur as his playground. The Green Knight it doesn't look action packed. It looks more of a haunting, foreboding tale. Again, very interested in this movie. So, as you can see, that's 8 movies, or 7 movies, and that's not counting the Purge. Was it the Forever Purge that I believe was released this past Friday, and a couple other small movies that I did see on the schedule, like something along like Stillwater, and there's a couple other ones that I did see on the schedule, but didn't really catch my attention. And there may be some other ones that I just didn't see at all. So July, I think this is going to be a very, very important month for movies, and particularly starting this Friday with Black Widow. I've read a lot about it, and I'll get more into that a little bit later on in the show. But that's going to be a very, very interesting weekend this coming up, and seeing what Black Widow rakes in, and can we say, hey, movies are back. I know Fast, the F9, is doing pretty well at the box office. That's one of those that, again, it's gotten a little bit too out of hand for me. Maybe go see a matinee in a few weeks, but I wasn't going to go see that opening weekend. Switching gears a little bit, let's get back into a little bit of the gaming news. Speaking of gaming, on a quick aside, I've really gotten out of playing Destiny 2, that was my go-to game, and I'm expanding a little bit more and playing some of the other of the mini games that I have, particularly right now is Jedi Fallen Order. And I took a glance at PlayStation Now, which is a subscription service for, PlayStation, where they have old games, sometimes new games, where you can play. I believe it's $9.99 per month. And after seeing some of the games on there, such as the original Infamous games from the PS3, the Force Unleashed games for, I can't remember if that was a PS2 or PS3. No, it's PS3. Dead Space 3, Resistance 3, some of these old PS3 games, and they have several PS2 games as well. I might be taking a dive into that every few months, just renting PlayStation Now monthly subscription, doing it for a couple months, then pausing it, coming back, pausing it. Yeah, I think I might be falling back in love with video games, and not just games to like a Destiny, which if you have 20 minutes to kill, just shooting some enemies, getting some bounties. Games that I mentioned Senua's Sacrifice, which was a brilliant game. It was only a short one, but brilliant nonetheless. And I'm still going back and forth between Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Pretty much finished the game, but there's a Wrath of the Druids DLC that I didn't get, and that's a good segue into the first bit of gaming news, where there was a leak, I think an article written by Jason Schreiber about Assassin's Creed Infinity, which seems to be, and again, this is something that's a few years away still, the new direction that they may be taking the franchise. It could be kind of like a live service game, but they also call it a portal. I'm still looking up, again, this is still in the early stages, so the information that's out there, I don't know how solid it is. What I do know is that the Assassin's Creed fan base is not too happy with this. Even the last couple games, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I have that and I really enjoyed, especially the combat, and Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which I really enjoyed the story. Combat, not so much. Fans had issues with those because it was more of an open world, action-oriented game instead of the stealth tactics and that stealth-heavy gameplay of the original Assassin's Creed. That's what a lot of fans want. And even through the success of Odyssey and Valhalla, which both of those had issues with microtransactions, and which us fans, we do not like. But as a companies make a ton of money from that, because there are people who will spend their money, $5 and $10 here, $20 there. That adds up when you're looking at the big player base that a game like Assassin's Creed brings in. But I will be looking around about this information a little bit more in the coming weeks and months. Just because, again, I liked Assassin's Creed back in the day. I took a hiatus for several years, and I just recently came back when 2019's Odyssey. So I'm very curious to see what direction this Assassin's Creed is going, and if it's going to have elements of multiplayer. That was one of the rumors that came out. But Ubisoft, you got some explaining to do to your fans. Moving on, San Diego ComicCon is at home, which is scheduled for July 23rd to 25th. Some news came out about that today, that Warner Brothers DC and Disney's Marvel Studios will not be in attendance. Again, this is the online virtual Comic-Con that there are going to be trailers for there's going to be trailers for movies and TV shows. You have some interviews with the the talent behind the screen, as well as the actors themselves. But they do still have a live version of Comic-Con, which is going to be November 26th through the 28th. And I'm wondering if Marvel Studios and Warner Brothers DC will be at that one. I know last year with everything with the COOF and everything being shut down, you having to go virtual, they both had their own sort of, virtual conferences anyway. I don't know if that's going to be something that you see more of, because it's like one of those things that, a lot of people, hey, you can't work from home. It's not effective. And then when you have to do it and you see that it works, hey, that might be the standard operating procedure now, right? Speaking of standard operating procedure, Sony's State of Play will be today. If you're listening to this on Thursday, it will be July 8th, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's going to be run around 30 minutes. And it's going to be more focused on this game called Deathloop, which is, and I'm reading this from IGN, who, if you want to stream the State of Play, IGN, all of their different sites, from the U.S. to all over the world, will be streaming the event. So reading from that, it says Sony has already revealed that we will be getting a 9-minute look at Deathloop's time-twisted world, where players will see Cole, the main character, use his abilities to stealthily skulk around rooftops or go in guns blazing to create a whole lot of mayhem. Lots of options available on Black Reef Island. Furthermore, you will be seeing, again, they did say that you will be seeing indie titles and third-party titles as well. But if we look at some of past State of Plays, there is a chance we could see more games like Final Fantasy 15 or 16, Kenna Bridge of Spirits, Sifu, Ghostwire Tokyo, Pragmata, Forspoken, Stray, and Jet, The Far Shores. So again, we don't know exactly, other than Deathloop and the 9 minutes that they said, it's pretty much a third of the State of Play. We don't know what we're going to get here. But again, Sony wasn't at the last gaming conference, wasn't at the EDCC a few weeks ago, which was not that great, to be honest. There were a couple good games and a couple good trailers that came out, for such as Guardians of the Galaxy game, which comes out from Square Enix, which comes out in October. That looks pretty good. I know they showed a teaser for the Breath of the Wild 2. I'm not a Nintendo fan, but I know Nintendo people that love Breath of the Wild are very excited about that. So I will be touching more on State of Play probably next week, in this segment next week. Again, State of Play, if you want to check it out for yourself, it's going to be streaming Thursday, July 8th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Capping off the game news and mixing it with a little bit of television news, we have what we call Witchercon, and that is going to be July 9th. And I'm on the website witchercon.com, which states, Witchercon is a global virtual celebration of The Witcher. This digital convention will be streamed on both Netflix and CD Projekt Red's YouTube and Twitch channels, and will be available for co-streaming. Watch the worlds of CD Projekt Red's The Witcher video games and The Witcher's Netflix series come together for an event full of surprises and exclusive first looks. And 3 things they mention on here is deep dives into the making of the games, live action series, anime film, which is going to be on Netflix, I think sometime later this year, and merchandise, including exclusive behind the scenes footage. They're also going to have interactive panels spotlighting the people who brought The Witcher to life in-game and on-screen, featuring breaking news from the new Netflix series and never-before-seen reveals from across the Witcher franchise. Expert exploration into the lore, legends, monsters, and original origins of the continent will round out the basically the pillars of what Witchercon is. However, there was a caveat, because when I think Witcher, even though I did read the books, or most of the books, even though I love the show, it started for me personally with Witcher 3. I'm always wanting another Witcher game. Sadly, it says, in case you're wondering, no new Witcher game will be announced at Witchercon. But there's still a lot of reasons to tune in. They don't have a full schedule. It might be something that they send out, on Witchercon Eve, which will be again Thursday, July 8th. But as of now, there's no real set schedule of what's going to happen, and I don't even know how long. I don't know if it's an all-day event. It seems like it's going to be an all-day or at least half-a-day event. Either way, I'm looking forward to it because I'm looking forward to season 2 of The Witcher. Again, that is scheduled to be streaming on Netflix in the fourth quarter of this year. And finally, to wrap things up, as I mentioned, Black Widow is set to finally, after a year and a half, grace movie screens and small screens if you have Disney Plus Premier Access. I remember when this trailer first came out, I was extremely excited for it. And from the pushing back of the movie constantly to the last week and a half, I would say, of news that has come out about it. Again, no spoilers here because I'm still in media blackout. I do see headlines, and I don't like what I see. I don't like what what I've seen Scarlett Johansson say about the movie or about her character in past movies, because it makes me worry for the simple fact that what she's saying that she felt the Black Widow was a chess piece for the male characters. It's an example of her not understanding the character. Black Widow was the chess master. Black Widow was the one manipulating Tony Stark. Black Widow was the heart and soul of the Avengers. Well, it's not the heart and soul, but was a pillar of the Avengers. She kept it together, between Infinity War and Endgame. Saying what some of the stuff that's coming out, and again, I know she's promoting the movie. I know from what has been said about this movie, in certain aspects, it's mentioned that this is a woman power type movie, which in and of itself, that's not a bad thing. It's a bad thing when that is the focus and the story becomes a byproduct, meaning the story should always come first. I don't care what message you want to say in a movie, in a TV show, in a comic book, in a video game. The most important thing is that the story and the narrative is strong. If you can do that, you can put any message in your content as you want, because it shows that you're more focused on the story and not preaching to people who want to be entertained. Again, I haven't seen Black Widow. I really, really, really hope this is a great movie, because I love Scarlett Johansson as an actress, and I loved her as Black Widow. I'm just getting pretty nervous on some of the things that are coming out, non-spoilery stuff. I've purposely avoided anything. I've avoided the media blackout, as Brian would say. I've avoided the clips. There have been 2 or 3 clips that have come out. I haven't watched any of those. I want to go in as I haven't watched any reviews. No, I take that back. I've actually watched a couple spoiler-free reviews, funny enough, on people I trust. One person really liked it. One person didn't like it that much. So I don't know. I mentioned a few weeks ago that I wouldn't be excited for this movie until I was actually sitting down in the theater and the credits rolled and it was 5 minutes into the movie. I'm sticking with that because I'm generally an optimistic person. But with that said, I'm somewhat concerned about this movie. I just hope that some of the things coming out about it are wrong or overblown, because we've seen that before. I've seen that before with stuff where you think you've heard that something's going to happen, not from a plot standpoint, but from kind of like a lecture-filled standpoint, and you don't get it. So I'm hoping that's the thing, and hoping some people are overreacting. But again, I guess I'll have to see on Sunday. With that said, I hope I was able to entertain you and give you some information. Like, favorite, subscribe, and in those comments down below, give me your thoughts on what else you would like to see on some of the on some of the topics that we discussed here. And with that, I'll catch you later.